How can I help you today?
Hey, I've come in today wondering if you could give me a hand on my science project on camels, Dr. Professor Gemmell.
No worries. Come this way. Take a seat, sir. So what can I help you with today?
I was wondering if you could tell me how domesticated camels and wild camels would live in a naturally environment.
So a camel is a uniquely adapted animal suited for desert habitats. They're known for their distinctive fatty deposits known as humps on their back. Camels have been long domesticated as they provide food and milk, meat, and their textiles, such as felt from their camel hair. Camels are also a vital means of transport. They're being phased out now, but in third world countries they're still very much used. And they can also transfer passengers and cargo. There are three surviving species of camels. The one-humped camel, known as the Dromedary, makes up 94% of the camel population. And the two-humped camel, the Bactrian camel, makes up the remainder. So the wild Bactrian camel is a separate species. It's the third species that I talked about. And these camels inhabit Central Asia, but they're particularly found in the remote areas of northwest China and Mongolia. It is interesting to hypothesize whether human intervention is needed for these animals and would be needed for domesticated camels. As the domestication has drastically decreased the efficiency of their adaptive features, such as temperature control, teeth size, hump size, which in turn means less fat and less water storage, I believe that these factors won't matter. In a natural environment, the camels could still survive. However, for example, the feral camels in Australia are now thriving, and they're estimated to be in the millions. So that is the example of the domesticated camels now surviving in the wild.
What features on the animal either make it domesticated or harder to domesticate?
Camels entered domestication most likely through the prey pathway because humans hunted the camels for their meat. Domestication was most likely initiated when humans began to experiment with hunting strategies designed to increase the availability of their prey, perhaps as a response to the localized pressure on the supply of the animal. The features of the camel that make it able to be domesticated, like their high desire to mate, the ease and speed that the parents bond with their young, as well as the mobility of the young at birth. Young camels can generally walk upon birth and they have a high survival rate. Camels also are very flexible in their diet and their habitat tolerance. They are timid in the wild, including having a very active flight response and reactivity to external stimuli such as prey or humans.
How have the lives changed for these animals in the past few decades, and what have driven these changes?
With all the new regulations and research, the domestication of the camel has drastically changed as all the living requirements of the camels are much more understood. The changes have been made because of the greater knowledge and there's more restrictions on them. Like we can't, beat the animals when they're misbehaving and all those kind of things. So the governing bodies have now put much greater restrictions and these animals are being treated much better, much more acreage, much more food, much more water, in general. Depending on where the camels are situated will change how they're treated, such as what culture they're in, the wealth status of that country, or maybe even the climate.
Do you reckon they're intelligent animals? Do you reckon they're conscious?
There's not much literature on camels' intelligence, but however, an animal psychologist, Ali Al-Amri, he says that camels are more intelligent than horses. So he makes this statement because he observed camels that will recognize people who have hurt them. This gives a good insight into their memory, emotion, and intelligence. He also studied them just in a natural environment and observed behaviors that would definitely give insight into their intelligence. However, there's not much literature and I can't answer this with a great deal of confidence. However, I believe that they are emotional, intelligent, and have a great memory.
How's the future look for these camels?
All the camels, the global warming factor will benefit these animals, as well as phasing out the camels' use for transport and meat will decrease their need, but less killing and strain on the species. For the wild camels, the species are facing extinction. However, as mentioned before, in Australia, the feral camels are thriving. So, in terms of where we put our resources, we really need to help these species. And we can be very concerned that the species, the bacterian camel, will go extinct eventually. I hope this has all answered your questions, but you have a good arvo, mate.